Hey there guys, it's Heidi. I just wanted to make a video today to let you guys get to know me a bit more, and I decided to do that. I am going to list off my fandoms for you, just to let you guys know the kind of content and fandoms that are going to be featured on this channel. So before we start, I just wanted to say that me listing off these fandoms in no way shows that I love one more than the other. I like all my fandoms equally. I'm just devoted to some of them more than others. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Doctor Who. You can probably tell by my outfit, since I'm wearing a TARDIS necklace, a TARDIS t-shirt, and TARDIS earrings, that this is my biggest fandom that I am in currently. This was also one of the first fandoms I really got into online. I have many of the books about the show, I have many of the fictional books, and I have many comics along with a lot of jewelry and figurines and costume items. My favorite Doctor is the 10th Doctor for sure, but I also love the 2nd Doctor from Classic Who, and my favorite companions are Rose Tyler and Jamie McCrimmon. Number 2. Supernatural. I've only really gotten into it in the past year. Before I was a bit hesitant to get into it, but I knew the main premise of the show, mostly just because of memes and GIFs I had seen on Facebook and Tumblr. But then this last Halloween I actually dressed up as Dean, and I made a first blade in fact, and it is fabulous. And I'm wearing Dean's necklace. So you can tell I'm pretty into the show. I even have a tiny 67 Chevy Impala. And my favorite characters from this show is of course Dean himself. This show you'll probably see quite a bit of as well, because I'm very in the Super Wholock fandom as well. Number 3. Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. I've been into Harry Potter since I was in about the 6th grade, and my mom got me the first book to read. I, of course, then read all of the books very quickly and have watched all of the movies and have been in the fandom ever since. My favorite book is The Prisoner of Azkaban, which is the 3rd one, and my favorite characters are Draco, Luna, and Neville. Number 4. The Fandom. I only got into this fandom this last summer. If you don't know what the fandom is, it is centered around 2 YouTubers, Dan Is Not On Fire and Amazing Phil, and they are what we call nerdy vloggers. So they technically are vloggers, but I consider them much more nerdy and more entertaining than most vloggers on YouTube. And I have watched every single one of their videos, both on their side channels and main channels, and even gaming channel. Even this last October, I bought their book and have read it so many times and listened to their audiobook so many times I can't even count. Dan and Phil, I love you a lot, and my favorite of Dan and Phil is of course Dan. Number 5. Markiplier. I sadly have yet to have anything from the Markiplier fandom because I only got into Markiplier about 2 months ago. I first came across his videos when, after I watched Dan and Phil, the fandom I mentioned previously, play Five Nights at Freddy's, and they really didn't even make it past the 3rd night. I wanted to find someone who had actually beaten the game, and that's how I came across Markiplier. And in my opinion, he is indeed the king of Five Nights at Freddy's. Number 6. Jacksepticeye. I have also only been in this fandom for about a month now, but I have watched many of his videos and I think he is one of the best gamers on YouTube. Jacksepticeye is hilarious with his Irish accent, and he's very loud, which I love because I am very loud, and it's not often that you find people on the internet that are loud and are proud of it and don't let any judgment from other people affect how they live. Number 7. Star Wars. I've been in the Star Wars fandom since my childhood, since I was about 5 or 6, and since then I have watched both the originals and the prequels many times. And I don't care what people say about the prequels. They are a part of the universe that George Lucas came up with, so I think whatever he wants to do with that universe and whatever direction he wants to take it in, he can do whatever he wants. And I also have seen the most recent one, The Force Awakens, and I have to say it was incredible. And I cannot wait for episode 8. My favorite character from Star Wars are R2-D2 and Obi-Wan. Number 8. Disney. I love Disney. I have technically been in the fandom since I was a little girl, but I've only recently really got into it by rewatching many of the old animated classics and non-animated many times. I have annual marathons every year, sometimes twice a year, and I know probably every Disney song there is out there, so if a YouTuber ever challenges me to a Disney song battle, I'm probably gonna win. My favorite Disney movie is Meet the Robinsons and Beauty and the Beast. My favorite characters from Disney are Quasimodo, Wilbur Robinson, and Belle. Number 9. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I've only really been in the Hobbit fandom for the past year. I hated it when I first had to read it in 8th grade, but then this last year, my senior year of high school, reread it in one of the classes out loud, and it was so magical. I do not like the movies, however. My favorite characters from Lord of the Rings are Gimli, Sam, and Pippin, and from The Hobbit, I like Gandalf. Number 10. The Chronicles of Narnia. I've been in this fandom for many years. I grew up watching the BBC version of the Chronicles of Narnia, and then when I was about 8 or 9, they came out with the newer versions, which in my opinion are much better. Yes, they could have done better and left some things in from the book, but overall, considering, I think they did a very fabulous job, and I cannot wait for the Silver Chair reboot that will be coming soon. My favorite characters from Narnia are Edmund and Eustace. Number 11. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the Heroes of Olympus. I've only been in the Percy Jackson fandom since about mid-middle school, and then I started reading the Heroes of Olympus books about sophomore year, freshman year of high school. I think they appeal to all ages. I am 19 now, but I will probably be reading these books for years, even though they are mostly written for tween and young teenagers. I think they have a very special sense of adventure about them, and I will read them for many years probably, and have my kids do so as well. My favorite character from Percy Jackson is Annabeth, and from Heroes of Olympus, my favorite is Leo. Number 12. Broadway musicals. I'm sure most people don't really consider this a fandom, but I don't think there's a point to have separate fandoms for each musical. I know there's the Les Mis fandom and the Into the Woods fandom and the Sound of Music fandom, but I'm in all of those fandoms, so if I listed all of those off separately in this video, then this video would probably be an hour long. So I've combined them into one fandom, Broadway musicals. I grew up watching a lot of the classic movie musicals, West Side Story, Sound of Music, Singing in the Rain, and now for many years I have enjoyed many more by branching out and watching new ones. I've seen Guys and Dolls live performed by Broadway in Spokane, but I have yet to actually see a Broadway production in New York. My favorite musicals are The Newsies and Wicked. My favorite characters from those are Jack Kelly and Elphaba. Number 13. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I am, however, not in the Legend of Korra series. I started to try and watch it, but I really couldn't get into it. I love the series. Even though it is a kids series, I think it has many great moral things that we can all learn and use in our lifetimes. The writing is amazing, the animation is beautiful, and the character development is phenomenal. I have only been in this fandom for about a year now, but I have since watched all 3 of the seasons many times, and my favorite character is Zuko. Number 14. The Hunger Games. I have only really been in this fandom for a couple months now. I watched the first movie when it first came out, but I only recently finished reading all the books because I couldn't wait to find out what happened at the end of Mockingjay before the movie came out. And I have to say, after reading the books, I'm not particularly devoted to the fandom anymore. I loved the movies and I thought they were really well done. Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson did a wonderful job, but I hate Katniss. I really don't like her, and the books make me hate her even more. But I do, however, love Peeta and Haymitch. They are my favorite characters. I'm not sure how long I will stay in this fandom, but for now, I'm in it. Number 15. Merlin. I am not talking about the Lost Years of Merlin, the book series. I am talking about the BBC TV series that ran from 2007 to 2012. I think this show is amazing. I have watched all 5 series many times over. I do not, however, ship the ship of Merlin and Arthur. I ship the bromance of Merlin and Arthur. And my favorite character is Merlin. I am, however, not exactly satisfied like many other fans with the ending they gave us at the end of season 5. I did not like it. I expected it to happen at some point, just not that rashly and quickly. Number 16. Marvel Cinematic Universe. This includes all of the Marvel movies from the X-Men to the Spider-Man, both new and old, and the Avengers movies. I was not exactly impressed with the second Avengers movie, but I think I will continue to follow the movies. I sadly, however, have not read any of the comic books, really. I'm a poor college student, sadly. But I really hope to someday, if I have the money, read as many of the comics as I can. And I'm very excited for Captain America Civil War that will be coming out soon. My favorite characters are Captain America and Thor. Number 17, Once Upon a Time. I got into this show about 8th grade or freshman year of high school. It's about fairy tale creatures and how they all connect. The acting has gone down a bit, in my opinion, but the story writing is incredible. Since it's owned by Disney, they have introduced many Disney characters such as Elsa and Anna from Frozen, and even Cruella de Vil as one of the villains. But recently, the story has been amazing, and I can't wait for when they start up the season again in March. My favorite character from Once Upon a Time is Captain Hook. Number 18, Teen Wolf. I've only been in this fandom for a couple months now, but in those few months, I have since watched through 4 of the seasons and am working my way through season 5. At first I was a bit hesitant because I was like, oh, it's the generic white girl show. But once I got past the first season, it actually got very interesting, and the makeup got a lot better for sure. I've never really been into the whole werewolf thing and magical creatures, but it makes it very dramatic and interesting for me. My favorite character from Teen Wolf is Scott and Styles. Number 19, Arrow. I've only been in this fandom for about the past year, but since then I've watched through all 3 of the seasons and I'm working my way through the 4th one. I at first wasn't really into the show because it was a bit dark for my tastes, and I did get into its spin-off, The Flash, until I had a friend tell me to stop watching Flash, watch through Arrow season 2, and then watch season 3 of Arrow and Flash season 1 side by side, back and forth. And in doing so, it made the story so much more interesting. In both shows, they would mention events that had happened in the previous episode on either show. And I found that really awesome. I love crossovers. And I've never really watched many spin-off shows, but I find it very intriguing. And I have since come to really like Arrow, but Flash is personally my favorite of the 2. My favorite character from Arrow is Felicity. Number 20, The Flash. As I mentioned before when I was talking about Arrow, The Flash is a spin-off show of Arrow. I personally prefer Flash more. For me, it's more lighthearted and fun, which is more my style, and I like the fact that Barry Allen actually has superpowers. And Barry Allen is in fact one of the characters that I do not ship with anybody but prefer to want for myself. My favorite character, as if you hadn't guessed already, is Barry Allen. Number 21, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I've only been into this show for about a little over a year now. But since then, I've watched through all 7 series once and am currently making my way through them again. I was a bit hesitant to get into this show when I first heard about it, because Twilight has forever ruined vampires for me. But once I saw a lot of stuff about it and what it was actually like, and once I saw David Boreanaz was in it, I was like, count me in. And I watched through all 7 seasons in about 6 months, which is the slowest I've ever watched through a show. But I love them a lot. I know I kind of jumped on the bandwagon for this a bit late, but I think that I will probably be in this fandom for many years. My favorite characters from Buffy are Xander and Spike. Number 22, The Sims. I have been in this fandom since I was about 8 or 9, but I've only actually owned one of the games since I was about 10 or 11. My parents would not let me and my sister actually play The Sims Lives till I was in middle school, because they were afraid that we would be exposed to inappropriate content before they wanted us to be. Nowadays, I do in fact own The Sims 3 and many of the expansion packs for it. I am an avid simmer nowadays, and I will play Sims on an average day about 3 to 6 hours. I have heard a lot about The Sims 4, but I have yet to get it, as I have heard there are many glitches in it, and that it's kind of a downgrade from Sims 3. I have decided to stick with The Sims 3 and just continue to get expansion packs for it until I hear that The Sims 4 is a bit better. Number 23. Sherlock. I know a lot of you have probably been waiting for me to say this one since I mentioned I was in the Super Wholock fandom. Sadly, since we have not been getting a lot of new content for Sherlock in the past few years, it has been hard for me to stay truly devoted to the fandom. I have watched all of the 9 episodes over and over again, and have analyzed every little thing about the show, and I do still love it. I'm just not as devoted to it as I am other shows right now where we're still getting new content. My favorite character from Sherlock is, of course, Sherlock himself. Number 24, the Teen Titans. This is one of my childhood fandoms that I've been in for many years, and it's one of the fandoms that I don't think I'll ever really let go. I am a kind of person that I don't really grow out of fandoms. I just stick with them for many years, rewatching them over and over again. And Teen Titans is one of those. I have watched this show since I was about 9 or 10 with my brother, and I'm pretty sure one of my first crushes ever was Robin from Teen Titans. And I love how the story is a lot more grown-up than you would expect a cartoon storyline to be. It's a lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender in that way, but slightly more dark. And I like that about it. My favorite character is, of course, Robin and Raven. Number 25. Danny Phantom. This is another one of my childhood fandoms that I've been in since I was about 9 or 10. I have watched all of the seasons over and over and still love the show a lot. I'll probably even have my kids watch it someday. My favorite character is Danny Phantom himself. Number 26, the Warrior Cat series. Now, you probably read these when you were a child and have since grown out of them. I personally don't do that with either books or TV shows and movies. When I get into a fandom, I stick with them for many years, and Warriors is one of those. I have reread the series many times over, since there were several series embedded within the whole series, and I enjoy them a lot. I have not, however, read any of the spin-offs from that about the dogs or polar bears. I find those to be kind of stupid. But I still love the Warrior Cats and will read them for many years to come. My favorite character is Brambleclaw. Number 27, Ouran High School Host Club. This is a fandom I only recently got into, and if any of my anime friends from high school are watching this, they are so saying I told you so. My freshman year of high school, all of my friends that weren't in choir or theater with me were into anime, which was ironic considering I absolutely despised anime. They all tried to get me into it by trying to introduce me to many different animes. Ouran High School Host Club was one of those. I, however, absolutely refused. But recently when I got into Dan and Phil, which I mentioned earlier in this video, I found that they are into anime as well, and so I decided to give it another shot. And I now love at least Ouran High School Host Club. I have yet to get into any other animes, but have plans to do so in the future. My favorite character from Ouran High School Host Club is Hikaru. Number 28, How to Train Your Dragon. I love those movies, and I really hope that they make another one, since the second one was very good in my opinion. My favorite character is, of course, Hiccup. Number 29, American Dragon Jake Long. I'm sure many of you probably don't remember this show. It only ran for about 2 seasons on Disney Channel from 2005 to 2007. However, it is one of my favorite cartoons that I've watched in my lifetime. It was about a 14-year-old Chinese-American boy living in New York with his family, and then he discovers that he is in fact a dragon, and he is the first American dragon, and he's charged to protect all the magical creatures living in New York. It was a fabulous show. However, in the second season, Disney decided to change the art style of it, which in fact ruined the show for me. I am still very into the show, however, even though it has been cancelled for many years now. My favorite character is, of course, Jake Long himself. And any Avatar: The Last Airbender fans might like to check out this show, as Dante Bosco, voice actor for Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender, is also the voice of Jake Long in the show, and his love interest for any Zutara shippers is in fact Mae Whitman, who voiced Katara in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I would definitely recommend this show to any Zutara shippers. Number 30, Kim Possible. Now, if you were in my generation or slightly older, you probably remember this show. It was one of the longest animated TV shows on Disney Channel. It's about a high school cheerleader who also, in her free time, saved the world on a weekly basis. I love this show a lot and have been into it for many years, and I will always remember it as the golden age of Disney Channel. My favorite character is Ron Stoppable, and he was one of my first crushes as a little girl. Number 31, Rise of the Guardians. When this movie came out and I discovered it, I became obsessed with it. I watched the movie every day for an entire week and a half. Every day. And still did not get sick of it. It is a great story, in my opinion. I have, however, not read the books that this movie is based on. I like this movie a lot, and it always leaves me with this special feeling that I only get with certain movies like Rise of the Guardians and Meet the Robinsons. Number 32, The Sisters Grimm. Most people probably don't know this fandom, as it is only book-based, and they aren't very well-known books. I discovered these books when I was in middle school, and have since reread them many times. The final book came out a few years ago, and it was very good. The whole series is about two girls named Sabrina and Daphne Grimm, and they move to this small town and discover they are descended from the brothers Grimm who wrote the fairy tales, and in fact, all the fairy tale creatures they wrote about are real and live in the small town that they have now moved to. And none of the fairy tale creatures can leave the town, as there is a magical barrier around the town stopping them. This causes a group to rise up in the town called the Scarlet Hand, who want nothing more than to kill the Grimms and raise the barrier, allowing them to go and wreak havoc on the world. My favorite character from the series is Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I would recommend this series to anyone of any age. Number 33, The Fault in Our Stars. I have only been in this fandom for about a year. I read the book just before the movie came out, and I love it. However, it is not the greatest book I've read that people were claiming it was. It was a very nice story. It was, however, not as well written as I expected it to be. But I still love the story and love the movie, and my favorite character is, of course, Augustus Waters. Who doesn't love Augustus? Number 34, The Selection. Many of you probably do not know this fandom as well. It is currently only book-based, but there is going to be a movie coming out in the next few years, hopefully. It is a dystopic romance about a girl named America Singer, and she lives in a dystopic America where there is a caste system and a monarchy. And she is right in the middle of the caste system. She's a 5. And there's a competition that happens whenever the heir of the throne comes of age, called the Selection, where girls from any caste from the age of 16 to 20 can submit their application to compete for the prince's heart. America reluctantly applies and does not expect anything out of it. She does, however, fall in love with the prince. And the 5th book of the series is coming out this May, and I cannot wait for it. My favorite character from the series is Prince Maxon. Number 35, Five Nights at Freddy's. I only got into this fandom this last summer when I saw Dan and Phil play it on their gaming channel. However, I have since really gotten into this fandom. I have watched almost every theory out there and have watched YouTubers play all of the games. I do not, however, have the money right now to play all of the games. I have the first game and am attempting to beat it, but I still keep getting stuck at night 4. Darn you, Freddy. But I find this fandom very interesting, and I'm very sad that the series has come to an end. The animatronic that I find the creepiest is Springtrap. And that is it. That is all of my fandoms. I know it was a very long list, and thank you for sticking with me through it. I just wanted to make this video to let you guys know what kind of content I'm going to be posting on this channel and from what fandoms. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you next time!